This is not a legend, but a ritual scripted for courtly pleasure, so sweet it lays a veil over the scent of fear. The master of spectacles, the one who tugs the hidden strings, keeps watch over clean consciences and over the promise that nothing will bleed beyond these walls. He uses honey because honey speaks a language all creatures understand. He uses silence because silence teaches obedience faster than fear. In his ledgers there are no figures, only signs, scales of whispers, and palettes of cries he flattens into a smooth reflective surface where laughter can appear untroubled. In the city, they speak of him half-voiced, yet everyone knows the way to his rooms buried under stone, under hieroglyphs that recite the lives of gods, while below one hears only what humans can do to humans. Officially, he is an inspector of feasts and trophies, the man of color, perfume, music, and step, the ceremonial rhythm to soothe what cannot be seen. Unofficially, he is the architect of delight, able to read, from a single gaze, how far to go before laughter falters and faces show what no patron wishes reflected: themselves. His net reaches outward to ports and oases, to villages at the margins of sand and reed, where a person can be gone without leaving a name. Recruiters bring children with quiet eyes, women who know how to be silent, men who do not ask questions, and interpreters who shape promises as softly as lullabies. Those who enter arrive with different stories, but they leave alike, wordless, renamed, or stripped of any name at all. It is said such work is necessary, that power needs its music, and music needs a pulse, sometimes counted by drops of honey, sometimes by the steps of slaves, sometimes by a heart that will soon fall still. The master does not think himself a monster. He thinks himself a carpenter of order, sanding edges, replacing wormed beams, ensuring nothing creaks in the presence of those who decide what endures. When he looks at the boy on stone, he does not see a child. He sees a tool, like a burin or a brush, that can paint astonishment across the faces of the board. He knows honey not only lures but smothers scents that would otherwise and milk to sequences so exact listeners feel themselves standing at a border between worlds. Behind thick doors lie tools with no names, because names domesticate, and he refuses domestication. He teaches that true dread behaves like a shadow. It grows when one walks toward the light and shrinks for those who remain in the dark. In his craft, numbers do not exist. Only proportions do, like in cooking, like in song. So much honey on skin, so much smoke for wasps, so much silence between breaths that set the tempo. He trains them to listen to the audience's breathing. If a third beat passes with no whisper, change the color of light, add a note, shift the weight toward beauty or toward fear. Never overplay. Excess kills curiosity as surely as oversweet wine kills taste. That is why the harshest scenes end with a short pause in which everyone must inhale and answer alone. How different am I from what I watch? North of the music halls run corridors with nothing to perform. There he stores stories as if they were tools, expeditions for timber, caravans that did not return, bridges thrown over gaps with pledges, debts paid in silence. In one niche, a box records a boy who did not blink, even when fire licked his lashes. In another, a map of roads toward the frontier where the fiercest ants are gathered, because not every sting plays the same note. There is also a place to sit where no step can be heard, as if stone drank sound along with sweat. He thinks often of longevity, not measured in years, but in reach. What he builds will outlast the names of his patrons, because emotion returns like tides and names powder faster than plaster. He remembers earlier benefactors who promised him immortality, and earlier enemies who tried to lock him in the coldest room without a torch. They all vanished, and he remained, with a new seal, a new title, a new mask. Masks serve long life better than faces. Those who fear death do noisy things. Those who fear the memory of others practice quiet that is exact. Meanwhile, the honey soldier lingers, already planning escape. He stands in the shadow of a column, listening as the hum resolves into a language full of commands only the trained silent covers yesterday, promises tomorrow, and helps endure today. Should anyone ask where the boundary lies, he will smile like a stone that has seen too much to mimic innocence. To understand this world, accept its rules. Sweetness can cut sharper than knives. Silence can blare louder than drums. Memory keeps what it can carry without breaking. It is not a lesson in monstrosity, but in craft, how to tune feeling like strings and press only where the note rings true, even if it resonates with pain. He tells his apprentices that true triumph is when the audience leaves lighter of certainty and heavier with attention. So first he paints with honey, and only then invites darkness, because darkness swallows gold best once it has been seen. And he never repeats a scene. Repetition is a crack that eyes will find. Morning squeezes into corridors like water into cracked clay. The stone smells now of salt and oil. Apprentices clean the hall the way people clean memory, layer by layer until the surface is smooth enough for safe passage. The master moves in silence, adjusting details no one else sees. The angle of a lamp, the width of a passage, the height of a step that snags the over-hasty. Mornings are the shading beneath the drawing, hard to notice, essential for every later line. Above, power wakes slowly. Scribes unroll their scrolls. Stewards count offerings meant for rooms where deities drink aromas. Someone says incense must be spared this year. Caravans return lighter than they should. Someone else claims nerves fray when winter lingers weeks beyond custom. In the world of numbers, mornings are warnings. In the world of feeling, mornings are blank slates. The master prefers starting from white. Every color rings truer on it. The honey soldier returns to routine, yet his steps still echo with the underground. By day he keeps watch. By night he listens for a rhythm pressed into his breathing without consent. He learns the city's rule. The most important matters go without names, orders without seals, labors without record, memories without witnesses. He sees some train themselves to forget, others to remember just enough to cross daylight, the courage to be quiet. The hall becomes a hive. He calms them with a hand. Frame first, then picture. Frame is entrances, exits, light, scent, the gate of steps. Picture is the unnameable that everyone will know. The keeper of seals, a man who does not fear long attention, asks about what others deem trivial. Should the first sound rise from the left or the right? Should the brazier glow below eye level? Should honey be thicker at wrists or ankles? The master answers briefly. This man understands the difference between a scream and its echo. Their shared glance is the compact of those who know the price of omission. Then each returns to work like to a prayer spoken without voice. On the day, corridors lie quiet as temples before song. Light slices the air into broad bands, dust sifting within them like sifted sky. Apprentices space the jars, test the latches, smooth the stone that will bear the steps of those who come. The master arrives last and brushes the threshold as one touches an arm while asking for silence. For an instant, nothing moves, and then everything begins at once. Scent, murmur, light, step, breath. The guests take the shadowed seats meant for seeing more. They say nothing. They sit as people sit by water that is about to show its bottom. The keeper counts pauses, not in notes, but in tremors of air. The honey soldier hears his own pulse as if someone were playing him. At the center waits the light that always arrives before the image. He knows then everything rests exactly as it should, each breath with a place, each shadow with a purpose. The sign falls voiceless. The room inhales as though it shared a single body. Before anything happens, the guests understand they did not come for answers, but for a silence that will labor harder than words. That silence is the first act, absent from the records. The rest will come drop by drop, until honey becomes a mirror holding their own eyes. He guides the river of the night, narrowing, broadening, so memory's boat will not ground on the shoals of certainty. Honey thins into sheen. Smoke stacks in layers, each distilling forward. The silence remains, growing until it roofs them all. Guests rise wordlessly, as after a prayer none spoke. That is the intended effect, each to leave lighter of certainty, heavier with attention. The honey soldier lingers by the door and understands that after this night he will speak more softly. Stone returns to its usual cool. Apprentices tidy the traces like cartographers after a storm, mapping scents, smoothing the pause's imprints, shelving vessels that were instruments today. The master leaves them a single sentence: "This will do." They know its meaning, nothing in excess, nothing missing. What mattered will stay where it belongs, in throats and under eyelids. He vanishes as craftsmen of his kind do, not invisible, only no longer needed. The city resumes its ordinary pulse, as if the night held no errands. On the market, fruits and onions make their usual treaties. At the gates, someone tells a story not at all about the rooms below. In the temples, chants rise lightly, as if the gods listened from a distance that asks for no offerings. Scribes record their numbers, unaware they are also recording silence, not in lines, but between them. The keeper rests his key and watches his hand to see if it has grown heavier. The master returns to a windowless room. On a shelf lies a box of cards, colors, scents, pauses. He takes the one inscribed long ago. "You will see your own eyes." He smiles without joy and buries it deeper, like a knife that cut too well. New requests will come, new faces, new pleas for entertainment, soft enough not to wound, hard enough to leave a trace. In this trade there are no finales, only doors closed well. The honey soldier steps into sun and feels its weight for the first time in a long while. He thinks of how quickly breaths are forgotten and how long silence grips the throat. One day he will tell someone of this night, using words that reveal nothing, because some stories must remain rhythm. Cities endure perhaps for that reason. They learned to speak half-voiced and left the rest to stone. The master closes his book, snuffs the lamp. The stone sleeps as if nothing ever happened.